The Joe Rogan Experience.
Speaking of which, I was watching a video today. You know how YouTube, for whatever reason, just starts recommending things and you click on it? Watching a video today on, this is what it was. I was looking at bulletproof clothing for whatever reason. Because I was like, I saw an ad on Instagram where this guy had a bulletproof hoodie on, and it looked like a regular hoodie, and he shot himself.
Is it like a John Wick situation where it's like...
Yes.
It's like sewn in between the fabric?
Yeah. So this guy had a regular hoodie, and he shot himself in the gut with a 9mm, just bang, while he was playing this video with like a regular hoodie. I was like, this is crazy. And this hoodie, it looked like a regular hoodie, but it's some sort of Kevlar or something. So then it recommends this next thing. And this next video that I watch is on whether or not you should carry with a bullet in the chamber. So it's this guy who's just speculating like that there's two kinds of people. There's kind of people that thinks they're going to have enough time to rack a bullet, and there's a bunch of people that realize that when something happens, it's like being in a car accident. It happens quickly, and you got to be prepared. You're not going to have enough time to rack a bullet. And so there was this long discussion as to whether or not you should have a bullet in the chamber or not when you conceal carry. And he was talking about how this guy was open carrying, but he could see that the hammer was shut down on the pistol, which means he was going to have to cock it because it was not a revolver, but an automatic semi. What is it when? What is it when you call? What do you call one of those when you have to load it like that? Like a 9mm, like a Glock. What is the difference? Well, one's a revolver. Revolver revolves. So it's not a revolver. It's just a pistol. Sure. Anyway, he was saying because of the way the hammer was, he could tell that this guy, he was going to have to pull that hammer back if he was going to use that gun. And I was like, this is like next level thinking. Like these people, everywhere you go, someone's worrying about shooting you. And then I go on to Twitter, almost like this is synchronicity. And Eric Weinstein, who's a friend of mine, says, is this the year where the debate is something in the terms of, is it appropriate to bring a loaded gun into a place where you worship now to protect yourself? Because there's been so many attacks on people in synagogues and churches and mosques. And I'm like, fuck, man.
Probably.
What is happening here?
It's bad. I'm not like
There's
I'm not
two
a gun
more
guy.
today.
What do you mean?
There's two more attacks today.
At synagogues?
One was in a church. What were the ones that happened today? There was two smaller ones. There was the church that was in San Diego this weekend. No, the synagogue in San Diego this weekend. But there was another one, like this morning when I was reading the news.
Yeah, there's in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was it?
Former 26-year-old U.S. Army soldier served in Afghanistan has been charged with plotting terror attacks in Los Angeles area. Rally in Long Beach. So it's on the front page of CNN right now.
You got some sounds leaking through that.
It's the video.
Did he do something, or did he just got caught plotting?
It says he was accused of targeting Jews as they walked to a synagogue, police officers, a military facility, and crowds at the Santa Monica Pier.
I think there was another one too. There was another one somewhere else. It might have been outside the country today. It's like, fuck. Like, this shit is ramping up.
Yeah. It's getting worse and worse. Are you a gun guy?
I have guns. I wouldn't say I'm a gun guy, but I have them.
Hunting or like just
I don't
in case?
really. I have hunting guns and I have safety guns, like security guns or private, personal protection guns.
Mm-hmm.
But I hunt with a bow and arrow mostly. But
of course,
I'm not opposed to. Why do I say of course?
Being sarcastic.
I'm not opposed to it. What is this? California synagogue attack latest?
San Diego yesterday.
Oh, this is the yesterday.
They found a social media message, I guess, right before it happened.
Of course. Jesus Christ.
That's the one you're talking about.
No, I don't know. I think there was another one that I saw. I believe it was in another country. That's all right. It's enough. There's so many.
I know. You're just numb to it.
Well, also that they're targeting places of worship now. Like, what the fuck, man? Do you have guns?
No.
Would you ever own one?
They make me uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
I'm not like against people want to have guns. Okay, I'm not. It's not on a hill I'm going to die on. But I think what's happening with schools and churches is reprehensible, and we are the only country where this really happens. You know, as much
Not
as it
anymore.
does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening. You know, around the world, but it's a
happens
lot
much more often here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's certainly an argument for that. The real problem is that the guns are already there. It's like, what do you do when you live in a country of 300 plus million people with 300 plus million guns? Like, how do you ever eradicate that? How do you shift the path that we seem to be on? Like, what do you do?
I mean, everything is like, you know, people talk about this, and then like, you know, how do we do? Is it the culture? Is it this? And you turn on the TV, and it's like a video game commercial or a commercial for a movie, and it's just a supermodel spinning around in circles, shooting everything she sees. And you're like, you don't think this is having an effect?
Right.
Like they just make it look so cool that if you want to be the hero, you got to have a gun. You know?
How about John Wick? John Wick 3 coming out
John Wick's
soon.
my fucking favorite thing ever, and I'm like, this is the most glorifying gun shit ever. But I love it. Like
That's
I love
a problem,
it.
right? It is a problem.
I mean, it hasn't made me turn to guns. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say that like video games, you know, make this. Video games are making people more violent. I don't believe that. I don't know if there's evidence to back that. But I mean, I've always loved, you know, James Bond movies, you know, things like where guns are a big part of it, and it's never made me want to pick one up.
Well, there's a real argument that alleviates some of the need for violence. That people like seeing it, and in seeing it in something like John Wick, it actually relaxes people. Mm-hmm. There's a real argument for that, and there's a real argument that you can make with that with video games too. But that is not with everybody. The problem is certain people are very susceptible to influence. They're susceptible, they're vulnerable to being influenced or excited in one particular direction. Whether it's excited to become radicalized and become a white nationalist and want to shoot up, you know, whatever, figure out whatever the group is, or whether it's, you know, there's certain people that, you know, they'll see something in a movie or a video game, it'll make them want to act that out. But they're usually mentally ill. I mean, that's the real problem. The real problem is mental illness. The type of person that could go into a synagogue and just start shooting people, that's a mentally ill person. That's regardless of whether or not they have a gun or not, that's a sick person. So we have to figure out, like, what's causing this massive amount of mental illness in this country, because that's the guy in Aurora is a perfect example. That guy they knew he was sick. They knew there was something really. I mean, if you see photos of that fucking guy, you look at his eyes, he was completely batshit crazy.
Well, I think it's something too to like when they now they've started to refuse to show the guy's face. You know what I mean? They won't show it because like this guy's getting glory now, and the next shooter wants to top that.
Right.
That I think they're getting a little bit smarter about it. But what's the quote? No man chooses evil because it's evil. They only mistake it for happiness. Like I believe that.
Yeah, that's a good quote. Yeah. They mistake it for happiness, or they want other people to feel what they feel. Mm-hmm. They want other people to suffer the way they're suffering. Yeah. When you ever have a giant country filled with people, you're going to have a broad spectrum of people's experiences. And so you're going to have a certain number of people that are on the low end of experiences, the worst experiences all the time: sexual abuse, physical abuse, violence, mental illness, pills, drugs, this, that. Boom.